Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Jonathan, the Bearded Burton, and I've got another video for you today. We're going to be looking at a brand new knife that I just got out of the box that I'm super excited about, and I can't wait to share it with you. Stay tuned. Before we dive into the new knife, let's go back and look at this real quick. So I shared this knife in a couple of videos here on the channel before. This was in an honorable mention in my 5 favorites. This was the guide knife. Now, this knife was one that Sam Larson, that was on season 2 and 5 of Alone, essentially commissioned LT Wright knives to make for him. One of his favorite knives was the Green River Hunter, I believe is the name of the model, and he basically just wanted a heftier version of it, one made by a company here in the US, and I'm pretty sure this was the knife that he took with him on season 5 when he went back on Alone. And it's a no frills knife. So first off, it's 3/32 of an inch thick in 01 tool steel, and that shallower Scandi grind than like what you'll see on a Genesis. This knife is an absolute razor. It's perfect to use in camp for carving stuff, prepping food, because it's so thin that the Scandi doesn't matter. That you kind of run into the problems with Scandi, and some people complain about it not being able to slice as well as a flat grind, and I agree, I see that. But this thinner stock really works wood well. It works vegetables, meat, obviously that classic drop point and that nice belly there works really well. Skin and game, getting underneath the hide and the flesh. And then the handle is just kind of a no frills barrel handle, or a broomstick handle with the swell in the middle. It really makes it fit comfortably in the hand. A lot of people, the feedback that I've heard from a lot of people that they don't like this knife is because of this section right here. There's no toil or nothing that keeps you from going from where your hand would be right to the edge. I personally don't have an issue with that. I actually really like it. I can work super fine stuff here. I can plane and almost use my finger as a guide on wood when I'm getting really close to the edge there, but it just takes some getting used to. That's kind of a Puko thing. This is more of a Puko style handle to me, and literally this whole front section right here feels like a Puko knife. It's just longer, and it widens up and you get the belly here. But this was the guide model. Very limited run. I think there was only one batch of these made, and you can tell I've used this a lot. I have worn off the logo completely and the steel coat on the back is barely there. You can barely see that O. There's this laser etched, so I use it. It's got a great patina on it. It's lightweight, and it doesn't feel as big as what it is. Like, you know, it is a larger, I wear like XL gloves, large XL gloves, and it is a bigger knife, but it sure doesn't feel like it. So I'm gonna keep this out, and I'll just put it back here at the sheath, next to the sheath. And now I wanna show you my new knife that I got in. So this is brand new out of the box. Beautiful JRE leather sheath, ferro rod, loop, dangler, what you expect from JRE. And the knife, nice fit because the sheath is tight. So this is what's referred to as the 8-pin. And if you can't tell, the reason for that is it has 8 pins in it. What this knife is it's a limited red wall, or as you wish, knife that Pout House members can build out. So the way that this knife works, before you jump in the comments and get upset with me that, oh great, another knife that we can't get, anybody can get this knife, but you have to hurry, because you have to become a Pout House member first. So you have to pay your dues for the Pout House. I think it's either 20 or 25 bucks for the year. That in itself is worth it, because you automatically get thrown into constant raffles, constant giveaways. There's monthly giveaways. There's a huge yearly giveaway. Even if you never log in or never use it, your name's thrown in to the mix. And then you get sweet deals like at Blade Show. You get to shop an hour before everyone else does through the virtual link. You get all the key stamp stuff. So all the exclusive knives that all of you see people sharing and that I share a lot of, you get access to all that just by being a member. Nobody else can get key stamps except Pout House members. And you also get to participate in stuff like this. So this is an as you wish knife, which means at the shop, they have these 8-pin blanks up on the wall. They're already heat treated. They've already gotten pre-ground. They just need to be assembled. And they open it up to the Pout House members, a certain model. It's not always a custom like this. Sometimes it's a Patriot. Sometimes it's a Genesis. Sometimes it's a small Northern Hunter. Stock models that LT makes. But every once in a while, you get a new model, like the 8-pin. And you go in to the Pout House, you'll click on the link that Scooter shares in the thread, and you build this knife out. You can pick the pins, like I chose copper. You can pick the material, I chose brown burlap. You can pick liners. It's not completely, whatever you want, like crazy materials, but there is a ton of selections in the drop-down menu for what to do. So this was something that I knew as soon as I saw it, I wanted to build one. And I built it, bought it, and here we are. So these two knives are pretty sweet. I'm very excited about this one, just from what I've already seen comparing it. But let's look at it up close. So like I said, I went with the copper pins. It's got a copper lanyard tube. That beautiful brown burlap micarta. I was able to add glow liners. That's perks of being a part of the team, but please don't be mad at me if you don't have glow liners on yours or you aren't able to do it. But mine has glow liners. That's kind of my thing. Everybody at the shop knows, usually if it's got glow, I want it. And let's look at the grind here. So it's 01 tool steel, beautiful grind. Fit and finish is just perfect. And it's that nice 3/32 inch thick stock. It's just a slicer. This feels so good in the hand. I already know this is going to be a big time user for me. The fact that it is longer, but it's that thinner stock and it's a really good Scandi, it changes things for me. It kind of gives me that itch to use a bigger blade. It's more nimble, it's lightweight. And as you can see, like just from the patina alone and the amount of times I've touched this up and stuff, I really, really love this knife. But I've honestly always had a fear that either something happens to this or somehow, like, I don't know, if I lose it or if something crazy happens to it or whatever, this is the only one. Like I have yet to see one of these come back up for sale. So now I have something very similar that will go hand in hand with it. So let's take a look at comparing these two and why I knew I'd like this 8-pin before I even held it. So first and foremost, let's look at the handle, because to me, the handle is probably the most important thing on a knife, because if it's not going to be comfortable in your hand or if it's going to give you hot spots, you're never going to use it. So this one, I love. It feels great. It's got a little bit thicker of a handle. I like wider handles. I don't mind them being beefier. But the one thing that I haven't been a huge fan of is this squared off end. I understand the design purpose of it, and it's that classic pattern, but I really enjoy that this is rounded off. And the reason is because there's times, especially when you're holding this in a reverse grip, and if you're doing any kind of lever movements, if this knife moves at all, there's a chance for that edge to dig in just a little bit. It's not bad. But more important is if I'm working, if I have this knife up against my chest, let's say that this part of the handle is right up against my chest or my stomach, and I'm doing like really fine cuts or I'm doing deep cuts where I'm holding it like a chest lever, and this is a stick that I'm wanting to crank like this away from me to really cut some deep stuff, this digs into your chest pretty hard. It's not a huge deal. I mean, that's a very particular movement that not a lot of people might do, but I do carve a lot of stuff. I carve a lot of spoons. I carve a lot of snakes and ornaments and all kinds of stuff. And that's something I noticed with this knife, is that if I'm up here and I'm hogging off material using my back muscles, this is digging into my chest. That we don't have the problem with this being rounded. The handle shape on this is also just pretty much a barrel broomstick handle. It swells a little right here, but not as much as this one. The handle terminates differently. I like this downward angle. It gives a little bit more room here, which would alleviate some of the people's nervousness about the edge being so close to your fingers. There's still no choil, but it does help. Again, the stock is the same thickness. This handle is thicker because I added the liners. So that was intentional. Like I said, I like bigger handled knives. And then the blade shape. This is probably the most notable difference. So there's still a nice belly on this, but not quite as big of a hump there in the spine. So the stock is just a tad thinner, I believe. Maybe. But you can see that hump, it doesn't flare out. So it's essentially just a nice straight back, long straight edge. I like that in a knife. It's like this knife and a traditional puukko had a baby that's the 8-pin. So super excited to get to use this. I got to figure out a lanyard combination, but yeah, that's my new knife, the 8-pin. I think it's going to work out really well for me. I've got a lot of stuff to do between now and November for Georgia Bushcraft, and I'm going to be using the mess out of this knife. So hope you enjoyed today's video. Please, if you're able to, join the Pout House. It's a great community. There's actually a Pout House gathering every year where we all get together. We talk about literally everything under the sun. Anything that is fun, outdoors, I mean, all of it. Cars, off-road stuff, tools, woodworking. I mean, it's just a great group of people. So, and you get to enjoy the perks of cool knives like this. So thanks for watching. Have a good one. Remember, get outside and enjoy the woods.